are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kings 5 San Antonio. Hope you had a good weekend. And for those that are in San Antonio, hope you're having fun at Fiesta 2022. What are we talking about today? It is a fan episode. We're going to be celebrating all things Manu Ginobili and answer a fan question later on the show. But yeah, Manu Ginobili, it's official. He is now going to be inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame, first ballot. So look at him. He recently spoke to the media. We're going to be looking at what he had to say. But since the fans still love him, we got to have a fan episode. So to represent all the fan love for number 20 is a regular fan guest here, Zach Escamilla. Zach, welcome back to Locked On Spurs. Have you hit any Fiesta events since Fiesta kicked off?
It was a semi-Fiesta event here in the development that I live in. They had a little Fiesta Easter deal that I went to this weekend, and that was pretty cool. Kids got to see the Easter Bunny and do that sort of thing, jumpy castles. So yeah, it was a good time.
Good stuff. Yeah, I went to one yesterday on the south side, and it just was hot. I remember I just wanted to go inside the room. They had like a little bar area. I thought I got to get out of this heat, man. But no, it is Fiesta 2022. But another reason why Spurs fans are partying is because Manu Ginobili. He is now going to be a Hall of Famer, going to be inducted in a few months here. Zach, I had a chance to talk with him at his press conference in San Antonio recently, but before we dive into what he had to say, Zach, how was the fan reaction when news came out that it was official? He's in the Hall. What did it mean to Spurs fans?
I think for a lot of fans, it was really nice to get that validation, at least for me.
Yeah.
Jeff, on Twitter, you have so many fans outside of San Antonio that whenever the Tim Duncan debate comes around, they always say, oh, he had Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker. Oh, yeah, okay, that's great. But Manu Ginobili, in their eyes, wasn't a Hall of Famer or a top 75 NBA player of all time. So I think the fact that he's a first ballot Hall of Famer just proves that us fans weren't wrong, that the guy was an absolute stud, and it proves us right. So I had no doubt he was going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But to see the powers that be agree with the Spurs fan base and have some common sense, it was a no-brainer. But I think fans were very excited, and we all feel validated now, I guess you could say.
Yeah, what I look about Manu's career, I think even if he never played a single minute in the NBA, his international resume gets him in. I mean, have you ever seen what he did internationally before he came to San Antonio?
Oh, yeah, and then he was a stud.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I remember back in the day reading an old Buck Harvey column. It was right after, I believe, the 2000 or 2001 season when the Spurs had just gotten destroyed by the Lakers in the playoffs. And Buck Harvey wrote about Manu Ginobili, how the Spurs had him overseas cooking, and how some of the locals said, quote unquote, he was like Kobe. He was like the Argentinian Kobe Bryant.
Right.
And I think in a lot of ways, he did have some of that Mamba, the Kobe Bryant to his game, because Jeff, Manu was never afraid to pass up a shot. The guy was never scared to go out there and make a play, make something happen, even if it looked reckless as hell. The guy had cojones, and to me, it was just so fun to watch him play.
From what he did in the Italian league, yes, he played professionally in the Italian league, won MVPs over there, took the Italian team he played on to the championship, was named one of the Euro League's greatest players ever to play overseas. Yes, I know he's from Argentina, but he did play in the Euro League, before coming into the NBA. It was just what he did on that level. And what I found interesting was to talk about what he said at the press conference is that he was asked to reflect on his career. And the first thing he said, Zach, I want to get your thoughts on this and what do you think fans think about this, is that he looks back at his basketball journey and he picks number one, winning gold with his fellow friends, Argentina friends, like Fabricio Alberto, Luis Scola, Nocioni. He said that is the number one on his list. Number two was winning titles with the Spurs, and then he picked two, his favorite, 2014, and I believe the one against the Pistons, 2005, as his favorite. But what do you think fans? How did fans react to him saying that, hey, winning gold for my country is first on my list?
I don't know. I think most fans would understand. I understand personally, because let's be real, as you know, that Argentinian team had some NBA talent on.
Yeah, they were powerhouses, man.
Luis Scola was no joke.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on how he didn't end up being a Spur. That's a whole other story altogether.
Yes.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Alberto was a Spur. Nocioni, they had a lot of really good players, NBA players on that team. And Manu was just killing it. And the fact that he was able to lead that team to gold over even that talented USA team. I mean, that USA team had Tim Duncan, had Carmelo Anthony in his prime,
Allen Iverson,
LeBron James.
Iverson.
I mean, there was a lot of talent on that team. So the fact that, Argentina, the David versus Goliath, they went out there and not only just placed, but took home the gold. That's pretty impressive. And I think whenever you do something for your country, there's certainly another level of pride. I mean, it's one thing winning an NBA championship for your, the home team, but when you're winning for your country, that certainly affects a lot more people. And I think when it comes to sports in general, Jeff, World Cup, I'm not a huge soccer fan, but when USA is playing, I'll watch and I root for USA because I'm an American.
Yeah.
I'm part of the United States. So I think when it comes to winning that gold, he's representing all of Argentina. And it makes sense to me why he would put that above the championships. And I don't take offense to that as a San Antonio Spurs fan. I think that's fine. But of course, you're going to have your haters. They're like, how can you say that? Blah, blah, blah. But I don't see it that way. But I know they're out there.
Why do fans still love him? Why is he still adored with the fan base, even though it's been years since he's hung up his sneakers?
I'll say a quick story about Manu. When I was in college and working at Nordstrom, slanging shoes in the shoe department.
Al Bundy. Way to go, Al Bundy.
Oh, hey, it was a good job while I was going to UTSA. But the point is, I remember walking out of the coffee shop at Nordstrom, and we bumped into each other, Manu and I, because I'd always see a bunch of players come by. But we looked at each other, made eye contact, and he just said, hey, how's it going? And I said, hey, man, doing well. And we just both went about our business. But it was such an awkward moment, but he just smiled and said, how you doing? And he just, to me, he just seemed like a genuine guy. And I think the fact that, he speaks Spanish and we're in San Antonio.
Oh, yeah.
People kind of looked at him as like being the raza, even though he's
like one of ours. Yeah,
he's one of us. Even though, he's Argentinian, it's just people looked at him and said, you know what? He feels like one of us, just like you said, Jeff. So I think between that, his on the court play, and the fact that he just was a winner. I mean, the guy made plays in winning time, and he wasn't afraid to make a mistake. And God knows, for all of the winning plays that he made, there's still those plays where he did cost the Spurs. I mean, I hate to bring up a sore subject, but remember 2006 when he fouled Dirk Nowitzki in those Western Conference Finals.
Yep.
I mean, that was, that was painful. I mean, the Spurs, there's no doubt they win that year and, three-peat from 2005 to 2007. But point is, he wasn't afraid to take a chance and make a mistake. And, sometimes you win some, you lose some. And with Manu, it was a beautiful chaos to watch him play. And fans here will always remember what he did in terms of helping bring championships with Tim Duncan. But again, just the fact that they could relate to him, that he could speak Spanish and he was active in the community, and the fact that he just seems like a genuine dude. You'll hear things. Fans will have interactions with certain players, and some players, I get it. They don't want to do autographs, or they don't want to do selfies, or they don't want to talk. They just want to be with their families. I respect it. I get it. But Ginobili was always one of those players to where, the fans that I would, talk to, they would always say, man, he was just a really nice guy. So,
yeah.
So exactly. I think that has a lot to do with it.
We're talking with Zach Escamilla right here on this fan episode of Locked On Spurs. We're celebrating Manu Ginobili, and it's official. He is going into the Basketball Hall of Fame. One thing you can make official is getting yourself a box of Built Bars. Look, Built Bars, they taste like a candy, but they're actually good for you. Look, don't go spending so much money on something that's going to hurt you health-wise. Get something that's good for you, which is Built Bar. Look, if you've given up on your New Year's resolution, what better way to get back on track than getting yourself a box of Built Bars? And yeah, you're going to feel like you're actually enjoying to eat them. Not necessarily it's like a chore, because they taste so good. They got a puff. Think of it like a protein infused marshmallow puff. And it tastes really good. I've had them. They're great. It's like a treat, covered in 100% chocolate. Aside from the puff, they got coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. The list goes on and on. Did I mention 100% real chocolate? Yeah. Low calorie, high protein. Look, get rid of your candy bars. Get these. They're better. Typical candy bar can be anywhere up to 200 to 300 calories. Now, most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. That's pretty good. Mint brownie, coconut almond, and new for this month, white chocolate cookies and cream. They are delicious. New flavors are coming out all the time. Yeah, I love them. You will too. As Built Bar, hey, look, they're all about the taste. They make taste first, and then they figure out how to make it healthy. Go to built.com right now. Use promo code LOCK15. Get 15% off your order at built.com. Again, use promo code LOCK15 for 15% at built.com. Let's go to bring back Zach Escamilla on this episode of Locked On Spurs. Or should I say a fan episode, as he is letting us know why Manu Ginobili means so much to the community and celebrating his big honor. Zach, you mentioned, his style of play. And during the press conference, Zach, he said initially he it was hard. It was hard for him to be coached by Popovich. He also said that he doesn't miss the game, but he does at the same time. He said not necessarily before on the court. He says more of the locker room when you're celebrating wins and mourning losses. Let's start off what he said about Pop. Do you think Pop maybe should have let him off the reins sooner than later?
I mean, I think I remember reading back in the day how Pop had his moments with Manu and vice versa, where, I want to say Popovich, and I'm going to paraphrase here. He said something around the lines of Manu was like a wild horse, and he was trying to, tame the wild horse, and he kind of had to eventually let those reins go because he realized I'm dealing with a really great basketball player, but he is who he is. He's controlled chaos. He's like a bucking bronco. We're going to get, some bad, but there's going to be a lot of really good that comes with some of those little mistakes here and there because he took chances, like I mentioned earlier. I mean, should Pop have loosened the reins earlier? I mean, probably, but I mean, hey, his rookie season, he was a part of that 2003 championship team. I mean, he was coming off the bench. I think he was maybe the 6th, 7th man. I remember Steven Jackson was starting at shooting guard at the time. But he was getting run in the playoffs for a rookie, like one of the few rookies that came in and played meaningful minutes right out the gate. I do recall that. So obviously him and Pop made it work. So he really can't complain too much, but I can certainly see where Manu's style clashed with Pop's approach to coaching. So, I mean, I could
Yeah.
definitely see the friction there.
One interesting note that he said at his press conference is when he got drafted by the Spurs, he didn't know where the city of San Antonio was. He said he had to look it up. And during his press conference when he became a Spur, that he attempted to go out on the Riverwalk, Zach, but it was too damn hot, and he went back inside with his family to his hotel room. So
Welcome to the club, man.
Exactly. You know, I mean, it's hot right now in San Antonio.
Got to stay
Zach and I can
hydrated,
tell you,
man.
yeah. But you look at Manu Ginobili, and leaving it all on the court, and he left everything on the court. If you know what I mean, Zach, everything, and he lost a very important body part along the way. Yeah, all in the name of getting a W. It was that type of ferocity, that type of focus, that type of never say die attitude that made Manu Ginobili so special, and why fans still, miss him and they enjoy watching him play. And although there would never be another Manu Ginobili, a lot of players have tried to duplicate the Euro step, and he talked about that when the announcement made official. And I asked him, I said, Manu, do the current crop of kids in the Spurs roster, do they ask you to teach that to them? And he says they do, but he said it's just something that has to be very supernatural, not like, supernatural like a ghost, like super space natural. That it's just natural for him to do that. He said he was never going to dunk over Shaq, that he had to get around him, and that was his best way to do it. He left the Euro step. Now it's being mirrored everywhere. Every player is doing it. But for him, Zach, though, now that in retirement, he says that he's enjoying it because now he has time. He said if he wants to go to Argentina, he can go to Argentina. If he wants to stay in San Antonio, he's going to stay in San Antonio. If he needs to go to Austin for one of his kids' conferences or events that is in Austin, he can go. I'm not a family man. You are, Zach. How important is that for any man now to have time, as Manu does, for his family?
It's huge, man. Work-life balance for moms, dads, parents in general, I think is a really huge aspect in terms of overall mental health, in terms of self-care. It's important to have that flexibility, in my opinion. So it's really interesting when you see a guy like Tom Brady. He retires because he said he wanted to go spend time with family, and he said, "Oh, never mind, I'm coming back." Maybe he didn't really enjoy that family time so much. I don't know, just speculating. But with Manu, yeah, man, just being able to have that flexibility to go attend your kid's classroom party, or to be present for a doctor's appointment. I really think as a parent, those things are the little things that you cherish. As you know, Jeff, regardless whether you have kids or not, this life that we live is a very short one. Life goes by extremely fast. And just like Ferris Bueller said, if you don't take a look around, you might miss it. So, I totally get it that he likes being present with his family. And, it's nice to be able to enjoy the scenery.
Zach, I look at Manu Ginobili, and I got to ask you, do you think he could have thrived as the number one option on the Spurs or any other team if he wasn't so, team first mentality? I mean, look, he came off the bench for practically most of his career. If you go back in his numbers, he actually started a few years, but eventually he made the move to the bench, and he stuck there, winning the Sixth Man of the Year award. Made All-Star squads, a lot of accolades on the way. But do you think he could have thrived as the number one option in San Antonio or elsewhere?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm just looking up some of his stats here. I think the most minutes he averaged in any season was that 2007 championship team. He averaged a little over 31 minutes a game and averaged just under 20 points a game, and was shooting 46% from the field and 40% from three-point land. So, I mean, playing those type of heavy minutes, he was putting up, starter, all-star level type numbers. So I think had he been the focal point of the offense, there's no doubt he could have been, a 25, 26 point per game scorer, in my mind. Some folks may think I'm crazy to say that, but the fact that for his career off the bench, averaging 13 and a half points a game, that's pretty impressive for a bench guy to be averaging that. Especially, on teams that were perennial championship contenders. So there's no doubt if you put him on another team, or if Pop would have just ran more plays for Manu, or if Manu would have just been selfish and said, what, I'm going to take this over. Yeah, he would have definitely been more decorated and been more of a fan favorite among NBA fans. I'm not talking Spurs fans. I'm talking NBA fans, the naysayers that say, oh, well, he wasn't really all that. And it's like, did you really watch him, or did you just watch SportsCenter highlights? And that's when it gets really frustrating when you're talking to fans outside of San Antonio. They really don't know how to accurately judge the talent that we have here because we're San Antonio.
Yeah, he was part of the big three, him along with Tim Duncan and Tony Parker. And you look at the big three, Zach, and you're like, okay, obviously the greatest Spur is like arguably Tim Duncan. Okay, moving on, next topic. But then there was Tony Parker, who won a Finals MVP, who I believe, Zach, correct me if I'm wrong, had more All-Star appearances than Manu. I'm not too sure on that. I'm pretty sure you'll correct me in a bit.
Manu had two. Manu had two,
yeah. And then Tony had 3.
I want to say so. Yeah, because Manu was, let's see, 2005 and 2011. He was all NBA third team twice. 07 to 08, he was sixth man of the year. Tony Parker.
Let's give Tony
let's give Tony Parker his due. I mean, I definitely remember a couple of them.
That's what I love about fan episodes. Fans can also be a part of the production of the show, as Zach is showing you right now. Looking up some stats for Tony Parker here. But no, I think, but if you look at the big three, you think Tim Duncan, but close second is Manu of the three. Yeah, it's
and Tony
Manu
Parker,
Ginobili.
Jeff. I'm actually a little surprised. This shows I'm getting old, but he was named to 6 NBA All-Star games.
Wow.
I don't remember it being that many. But
he was 6.
Three All NBA second teams too.
Yeah, and led the league one year with teams having Shaq and Alonzo Mourning and Tim Duncan in points in the paint. But Tony Parker discussion later on, maybe in a future episode. It's all about Manu Ginobili. But of the big three, Manu was the most beloved, even though he didn't have maybe a similar NBA resume to Tony Parker, or obviously not a resume like Tim Duncan did. Why was he always set apart? Was it simply because a lot of fans felt that he was one of us? Is that really what it comes down to?
I think so, Jeff. I really think that's a huge part of it. We looked at him as one of us, and his on the court play was just something to behold. I mean, we hadn't seen that type of athleticism on the court in a long time, and that type of playmaking. So to me, I think between what we were seeing on the court from his playmaking and his skill set, and then with the fact with him being a good guy and sort of being one of us, I think that's what really cemented him as being so beloved with our fan base.
Yeah, he definitely was beloved. But hey, look, with the NCAA championship game just around the corner, now you need to go to betonline.net. Betonline.net is your number one source for all betting needs and sports info. You got the big game coming up. You have a few Spurs games remaining. You got the Masters championships. You've got a bunch of stuff, and you can find it all at betonline.net. Every league is there: MLB, NFL, NBA, college, MMA. Go to BetOnline right now. It's your continuous source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. Zach, are you a betting man? Do you put some money down every once in a while?
I'm a betting man when it comes to ordering out. Sometimes I like to, bet on, something new that I haven't tried before. So, yeah, that's about as much gambling as I do,
Well, Zach, let me tell you right now, if you ever do get the itch, go to betonline.net. Go to the website, everybody. Go to it right now. You got yourself a computer, you got yourself a cell phone. Go to BetOnline, learn about all the trends and action there. I go there, you should go there too. Once again, betonline.net. BetOnline, where the game starts. We're talking with Zach Escamilla right here on this fan episode of Locked On Spurs as we're celebrating Manu Ginobili's big accomplishment, making it into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. A few more things about Manu Ginobili before we get into a quick fan question here. And one that Zach really loves because I read it to him before he hit record. He was like, "Ooh, I like that fan question." But Manu Ginobili, he's going to join the ranks of it's in the Spurs franchise. David Robinson, Tim Duncan, Gervin. He's next. He's going to have that little Hall of Fame, note on his retired jersey that hangs in the AT&T. What do you think Manu ranks among the greatest Spurs? Top 5, top 10?
Easily top 5.
So who are your top 5 then?
All right. I'm going to try to say this without upsetting anyone, but I think number 1, you obviously have to go Tim Duncan.
Absolutely.
Number 2, I'm going to go with Big David Robinson. Number 3, I'm going to go with George the Iceman Gervin.
Absolutely.
The original, the guy who really helped put San Antonio on the map in terms of basketball, at least as far as I'm concerned. And then when you get to 4 and 5, this is where it can get a little bit dicey, but I'm going to put Manu number 4 and I'm going to put Tony Parker number 5.
Interesting list, and it'll be hard for anybody to disagree with you. We got Timmy, David, and George, obviously 3, Timmy because it was Tim Duncan, David because he practically saved the city from losing its NBA franchise. And
David saved us twice, Jeff, because remember, he was the one that went down to Florida and talked Tim Duncan into staying with the Spurs. So
yeah, absolutely. And then you have Iceman because he's the OG, really helped put San Antonio on the map in his ABA play and, of course, his NBA play. But Manu Ginobili, he's got to be top 5. I mean, let's just put it this way. Without him, maybe there's 1 or 2 less banners hanging in the AT&T Center. That battle against Detroit in the finals. I mean, by the way, Manu Ginobili did highlight that as the second best title ring he won. I mean, that Detroit team would not die. And that was long hair Manu just wrecking havoc. Some still believe he should have been the finals MVP.
I actually agree. He was a beast that series.
Yeah. And that Detroit team was just a beast too. I mean, they were no pushovers, and that was the thrilling 7-game series. But Manu Ginobili definitely had a huge hand in that title run. Maybe there's 1 less without him. But since this is a fan episode, Zach, we know a lot of fans are going to point to, the Manu Ginobili block on James Harden as perhaps one of their number 1 memories of Manu Ginobili. But what is Zach Escamilla's? If you had to pick 2 memories of Manu Ginobili on the court, what would it be?
I think the first one that comes to mind is in the 2014 NBA Finals. Was that in the clincher game 6? I'm trying to remember where he had that dunk that really just put
Bosh.
Yeah, that just put like the exclamation point. Like as soon as he had that dunk over Bosh, I'm like, this is it. We're winning this game.
It's done. Yeah.
Like that is the emphatic W. That was the cherry on top. So I'd have to go with that. And I know it's so cliche, Jeff, but the James Harden block, that was it's iconic, man.
And good for the refs for not blowing the whistle on him.
Well, because it was all ball, number 1. And number 2, like I was talking about earlier, Jeff, Manu wasn't afraid to make a mistake because, I mean, this is James Harden. This guy lives at the free throw line. So for him to have the balls to even attempt to block that shot, knowing that the refs could call a foul, and the fact that he got all ball, and that was for the game, for the win.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was just that was something to behold, man. So to me, I'll never forget that.
For me, I got 2 of them on the court, and I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'll do one off the court. I'll tell you a little story about him in a bit. On the court, yeah, I know there was a Harden block, and I know there was that long distance shot he made against the Suns. And then there was one of the earlier highlights. I think it was in his NBA debut where he dunked on 3 or 4 Lakers, like the entire team. I mean, that was just crazy. But I like to go in his twilight days, and they were playing against Boston in San Antonio, and Kyrie Irving was still were in Boston colors, and the Spurs were down, and Manu Ginobili let them back. Now this is already without Tim Duncan; he had retired. I believe Tony Parker may have left, or was already a shell of himself.
Mhm.
But Manu was leading the team, and he ends up making the game-winning shot. After the game, Kyrie Irving spoke, and he wasn't mad about the game or losing against the Spurs. He was smiling, and he was all like, "That was Manu Ginobili. That was Manu Ginobili." He was so amazed by Manu Ginobili still having it in the tank to do that. And yes, there was, the other moment on the court of him celebrating that title against the Pistons. Remember, I think it was Sean Marks lifting him up off the court, and Manu Ginobili's just like pumping his fist in the air with a big old grin.
Mhm.
But off the court, though, I'll tell you a funny story. It was, maybe towards the middle of his career, it was Spurs at Sixers, early 2000s. And I don't know how this happened, Zach, but after the game is over, after the press conference is over, I find myself in the bowels of the Philadelphia the Sixers arena, and Manu Ginobili's walking alongside of me. Not because we're hanging out; he just happened to be walking next to me. I think he was walking to the team bus, and know what we started talking about? Him being featured in a Bugs Bunny cartoon where Lola Bunny took out her purse in the cartoon and was digging for her license because she got pulled over. And she discovered she had a Manu Ginobili card, and she's talking about how much she loves Manu Ginobili. I brought it up to him. I go, "Hey, Manu, did you ever catch that? Did you ever see that?" He starts laughing. He's like, "I did see that," and he was just kind of shaking his head, like, I like he couldn't believe that his name was dropped in a cartoon like that. So I always remember that interaction I had with Manu Ginobili. We're
See, Jeff,
talking again.
I
Go ahead.
thought you were going to go a completely different direction with that.
What's
I
that?
thought
What's
you were
that?
going to ask him, so Manu, did you find Lola Bunny attractive? That's where I
Ah,
thought you were going.
no. He's a married man. Come on, yeah, gonna be doing stuff like that. But that was one of the fondest memories I have of Manu Ginobili. But yeah, even at the press conference, he was still humble. He didn't remember my name, but he remembered a lot of other names in the room. He thanked them all. He took a question from everybody. He made sure everybody got a question in. I think I was like second to last, and I had asked him about him teaching the ways of the Force to the young kids, and he's saying like, yeah, he tries, but saying that it's just you have to have a super natural talent for it. But yeah, Manu Ginobili is going to get enshrined to the Basketball Hall of Fame, and I believe it's September, so it is official. But we want to hear from you. What do you have to say about Manu? What are your favorite Manu Ginobili moments? You can let me know on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. You can let Zach know. He is at Get Back Zach ZAK. Make sure to follow him. Can't miss him. He's wearing a Boba Fett helmet, so you cannot miss him. Zach, we have one fan question here, so I figured, hey, a fan is on right now. We got a fan question being submitted. Let's dive into it. This is from Warren D. Guzman. He is on Twitter at WDDE Guzman. He asked, can you guys discuss this on the next podcast? Here's the question, Zach. What are Derek White's chances of winning a title before DeJounte Murray? Thanks. Zach, take it away.
Well, I think if we're looking at this season, it's obviously a much better chance because Boston's playing really well. Derek White's, had some ups and downs, but overall he's fit in well. Jason Tatum is a stud. Jaylen Brown's a stud. Boston's well coached. They got Ime Udoka and Will Hardy up there. So, the East, who knows? It's probably going to still be Milwaukee or, one of those teams.
Yeah.
But you never know. Once you get in the tournament, Boston could make some noise. They've been winning a lot of games lately. So, if we're just looking at this season, Jeff, it's pretty obvious that Boston, thus Derek White, has a better chance of winning a championship than DeJounte Murray does this year. DJ is going to have to shock the world, get the play in, which the Spurs look like they got a pretty safe bet to get into that play-in, but they got to go out, beat the Suns, and pull a David versus Goliath to win. I mean, I guess never say never. But ultimately, yeah, Derek does have a better chance this season for sure. But, next season, Jeff, you never know. We'll see what Brian Wright pulls off this offseason.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to agree with you, Zach. As of right now, White does over Murray simply because he's on a better team. They already have established all-stars. Jason Tatum is there. And their young, dynamic team playing in the East, helps too. So, yeah, I think that's going to help White likely or perhaps maybe get a title before Dejante Murray. We'll see what the Spurs have in store. They got a lot of money. They got draft picks. DeJounte is still young. He's not even close to what is considered the prime years. So we'll see what the Spurs do. But as of right now, it looks like Derek is on the track to winning a title before Murray. Thank you, Warren D. Guzman. Again, if you want to get in your question, you can let me know on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. Hey, we're done talking. We want to hear from you. What do you think about Manu Ginobili getting into the Hall of Fame? And what do you think about Warren's question? Who's going to get the title first, White or Murray? Zach, tell them how they can chat with you.
Yeah, you can follow me at GetBackZach. That's ZAK. My Twitter name is the Dadalorian. I'm wearing a Boba Fett helmet. And yeah, so if you like Star Wars, you like the Spurs, give me a follow.
Did you haven't seen Moon Knight yet?
Yes, I meant to ask you about that, Jeff. I actually really liked it. The first episode, it was a lot of fun.
I did. It's unique. It's very unique. It's different. I like how they didn't just throw Moon Knight Moon Knight in your face. It was towards the bitter end where you finally get a peek at him. I like that. I like they established more of the human character.
And they also left you wanting more because that first episode, you're still trying to figure out a lot of things.
So, yeah, it's a mind trip for sure. You're like, what is going on? And when I was looking at too, Ethan Hawke, man, the old H stick hit him hard, man.
Hey, but he did. He was married to Uma Thurman at one point. So
he was. Oh, so they're not together anymore?
No. Uma Thurman's his ex-wife, and then his daughter was the one that was in Stranger Things. She was the girl at the ice cream shop.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you've seen pictures of her out in public. As a dad, would you tell your daughter to cover up more?
Yeah, but you know what, Jeff? That's gonna. My daughter is 5 months old. I guarantee you, when she's older, she's probably going to be good looking, and it's going to be the universe's way of getting back at me for all of my shenanigans.
Hey! There's still time for you to get good karma. There's still time for you to get karma.
Still good. It's still time for me. I'm gonna have to go to confession and get right with the Lord.
All that good stuff. Yeah, because it's gonna come right back at you very soon, Zach. All right. You can let Zach told you right now. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at GetBackZach. Jeff G Spurs Zone. We thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Check out all the NBA podcasts on the Locked On NBA network. And yeah, we appreciate you subscription. Yes, we're now on YouTube. The followers on YouTube are getting stronger by the day. Go give me a subscription. Can't miss it. It's probably in the tweet that you saw this episode being published about. So for Zach, the Dadalorian, Escamilla, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.